Hello and welcome to the Browns Blitz. Today is Tuesday, December 1st. I'm your host, Rod Bloom. Joining me today is Jared Bates, better known as Fatty. How's it going, Fatty?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You're here from the Illegal Ham to the Face podcast. I'll give you a shout out for that real quick. Before we just move on and go through the show real fast, why don't you give some Twitter handles for yourself and for your podcast?
We are Illegal Ham to the Face. You can find us at Ham Illegal. We're just a podcast that talks about food and Cleveland sports. It's Browns, Indians, Cavs, whatever. And then you can also follow me on I Am That Fat Guy, and the fat is with 2 T's. And don't get it wrong, I am not fat. I am chubby, but I play pool and everybody calls me Fatty. So that's how that got started.
Excellent. Yeah, and you were talking about Minnesota Fats. I mean, I don't know if you ever, I don't know how long it's been since he's not been around, but I remember actually watching him play pool on TV.
I have never watched him play pool. They actually picked it up. I started watching Hustler, and all my friends were like, "Oh my God, that's you!" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh yeah, it is." I'm like, "No." And then that's how it got started.
Yeah, they used to show pool matches on TV. I mean, this was back when I was a kid, but I remember watching him play against Willie Mosconi. They were the 2 best players, I think, in the world at that point. So it's pretty cool stuff.
I have to ask you, how was it watching those 2 play? Because I've seen recordings, but I've never seen it actually live.
Well, I mean, from a little kid's perspective, it was pretty cool because, I mean, they're just so good that you never know if one guy misses one shot, it's over pretty much. The games don't last long because the other guys run at the table and stuff. So it was very interesting, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So we're gonna talk a bunch of Browns.
Oh, can't wait.
Before we do, we're going to talk about our Blitz beverages. So we'd like to let the guests go first.
Oh, I still have a little Cleveland Underground whiskey I'm drinking right now. I got Cleveland Underground Black Cherry, and I love every bit of it. And then on the side of it, I got a little Christmas ale I'm sipping on from Great Lakes.
Excellent. I do every now and then I try to each Friday at 5 send a tweet out, kind of celebrating the 5 o'clock whistle on Friday and say, hey, what's everybody drinking in celebration? Man, a lot of people are drinking a Christmas ale, which is just smart, I guess. But, Great Lakes is doing pretty well with that.
Yeah, and I actually took a 6-pack down to my sister. She's never had it. Yeah. And she took the first sip of it. She goes, "Why haven't you brought this down more?" I'm like, "I apologize. I'll start."
Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of good Christmas ales out there, but Great Lakes it's the original, and it's an excellent beer. So wise choice. I pulled out a Warped Wing Brewery Creep Show Smoked Porter, and this is a beer done for Halloween. So I got this a little bit ago with a mixed 6-pack. The alcohol content is 6.66%, which I'm sure they were shooting for. It's good if you like smoked teas or anything that's smoked. You can definitely taste that smoked flavor in this beer. I'm enjoying it. So definitely worth a shot if you like anything smoked. So give it a try. Now, Fatty, we're going to move on to one of my favorite parts of the show, and that is where we give the guest the floor. Let you talk about your journey as a Browns fan. So, going to give you a few minutes just to kind of tell us, you know, either how you became a Browns fan, some memories, anything unique or special, favorite players, anything you want to share about your life as a Browns fan.
So when I became a Browns fan, now beforehand, and you can't bash me for this because I'm left-handed, I used to be a Bengals fan, okay, because of Boomer Esiason.
Okay.
At the time when I was growing up, he was the only left-handed person I knew, and kind of wanted to be a left-handed quarterback, and there wasn't that many of them. So I kind of grew up that way. But when 99 happened, okay, I was still young enough that I started following the Browns. And it came from my stepfather, Jeff, and we would watch every Browns game. And the best memory I have of like the startup was the Hail Mary from Couch to Kevin Johnson in the end zone against the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
And I went absolutely insane because I've never seen anything like that. Now, granted, I've had misery ever since then, as we all have. But I'm not one of those ones that kind of like, I like the Bengals because of one player, but I like the Browns because of the team and the tradition. So, watching now and watching how everything goes now, every Sunday I get a call from my dad. And by the way, my actual real father is a Steelers fan, which is amazing for me. But all my family and friends, though, even my sister, brother-in-law, everybody else is Browns fans. So it is quite nice to actually call family and be like, hey, what did you guys think of the game? And then we start talking about it and having a good time. But, just that first initial reaction got me hooked with Couch to Kevin Johnson. And as soon as it happened, granted, that team was just hot garbage. But that one win just kind of it sucked me in. Like, okay. And then every now and then we get that same kind of thing, like with Jamie Meter blocking a field goal. Granted, crappy year, but we're there. And every Browns fan is always behind the Browns. It doesn't matter if they go 16, you're still there. Like, it's like, it's amazing as a Browns fan to just feel that. Now, granted, I had to feel it on the back end. Like, I remember watching Bernie and, living those times of the late 80s, like early 90s-ish. But it's a different story for me because I'm on the backside of it. Like, I remember everything, but it's like, okay, well, now I remember this more than I do that because at that time I was 7 when Burke was in charge, and I remember Vinny Testaverde as the quarterback for the Browns. It's just I remember Brian Sipe as a quarterback. So it was weird for me to make the transition and be the new age of the 99 forward and just dealing with everything that we had to deal with.
Right. And you've lived in Cleveland your whole life?
Actually, I have not. I grew up in Coshocton County, which is about 2 hours south of Cleveland, in a very, very small town of West Lafayette, Ohio. And down there, it is Steelers down there. Like, there's Browns fans down there, but it's like speckled because you're an hour away from Pittsburgh. But what's really funny is when I became a Browns fan, I was all the way over towards Indiana when I became a Browns fan because I moved to Lima, Ohio. And if you've never been there, you got to go there. It's a great place. They got great food out there.
I have been to Lima, yes.
Have you had the Kewpie burger?
I have not. I've been, let's say I've been probably through Lima more than I've been in Lima.
Okay, you took the 75 down, right?
75, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a chain there. There's only it's pretty much like Cleveland Swenson's.
Okay.
Okay, it's what they are over there. There's only 3 of them left, and they are only in Lima. But if you can picture Swenson's in a very small town, that's where it's at.
All right. I'll try to remember that next time I head north.
Head north. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Cleveland, but I live in Dayton. I've lived in Dayton for quite a while now, really since my college days. But I'm always going to be a Clevelander at heart.
Oh, you moved to Dayton. Now, I have some old stomp grounds down there where we used to drink and have a good time.
Oh, yeah?
But we can't say those on air because
we'll have to talk off air if they're still open.
I doubt they're still open.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things have changed since I had stomping grounds down here. Let's say that. Let's put that out. So let's thanks for sharing that. Let's move on to talk some football. Browns 8-3. Man, that feels good.
It feels really good.
Oh my!
I put out a trivia on our podcast that just came out, and I want to ask you it. So since '99, we have over under 100 wins.
100 wins?
And we're taking this season out. So since 99 till now, over under 100 wins for the Browns.
Let's see. Well, that's 21 seasons, so it'd be just under 5 wins a season. I would say it's under.
It is over by 1. It is 101.
Okay. I figured it was either 99 or right around there.
It was unreal when I saw that, and to see that the Browns are actually 8-3, and people on Twitter are going crazy about Baker and everything else. They won, right?
Yeah, they did win. They beat the Jags 27-25, and my prediction for this game was 30-27. I actually came close on one.
That's a really good prediction because I think I was way off on that one. I think I picked a blowout.
Well, here's the thing. The Jags have played. The Jags had played almost everybody all season close. So you can look at the record and see that they had lost 9 games in a row, but they were in almost every game. They really weren't getting beat badly, and they were playing good teams tough. So I expected them to play the Browns tough. I would have been fine with a blowout as long as the Browns won. But I expected it to be a fairly close game. I didn't know it was going to be a 2-point game, but I expected it to be fairly close. I'll let you kick it off, Fatty. What were you? What stood out to you in this game? What were a couple of your takeaways?
The first takeaway was the inconsistency of Baker. And the only reason why I say it is because he made some phenomenal throws. He really did. But, the miss in the end zones, it could have been a blowout if he actually would have hit those. Overthrown Higgins and those. The one thing I did, can we not just give enough love for Chubb? Let's be honest, right? Everybody loves Chubb.
Yeah. We can't say enough about Nick Chubb. There's not enough to say about Nick Chubb.
This team runs through Nick Chubb, and it's no knock to Kareem Hunt. It's no knock to anybody else on that team. But how Nick Chubb goes, it seems like this team goes.
Yeah, Nick Chubb in his 3 games back, 58 rushes for 384 yards, 2, maybe 3 touchdowns if he decides to go in the end zone.
Yeah, I know.
6.6 yards a carry.
it's unreal. And like we were talking tonight would you put him in your top 3 now? Because I put him second behind Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry is a man alive. But everybody else has kind of dropped off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've got a bunch of stats. So let's come back to Derrick Henry when we move on to the Titans, if that's all right with you. But I agree. I agree. Nick Chubb, it's pretty much Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. But yeah, I've got a bunch of numbers, so we will talk about those two guys because it's going to be, well, I'd say fun to watch, but it kind of depends how the game goes this coming Sunday.
I didn't mean to spoil it.
No, that's all right. That's all right. We'll get back to it. So, I agree. Baker missed some throws, and he made some very good ones too. Baker's Baker right now. I feel like he's still learning. He's still trying to find consistency. He's still got some issues with his mechanics. He still throws off his back foot sometimes and, just doesn't look comfortable at some points. But other times I see him, moving around in the pocket a lot better than he did even early in the season. And, I see some growth in some areas, but not in others. So I really feel like there's, like he is progressing, but I know that he's not, I know he's not a finished product. But for me, it comes down to he's not making mistakes, or he's not making as many mistakes. He's not making mistakes that cost the Browns games or cost the Browns big points. If he misses a guy in the end zone, the Browns are generally able to, for the most part, they're making up for that in other ways, versus some of the picks that we were seeing last year that were just totally deflating to the team. So, for me, that's an area of improvement. Baker hasn't thrown a pick, I think, since the Bengals game. He hasn't thrown a lot of touchdown passes either, but just the ability to hang on to the ball is definitely a positive, and that's something that you want out of the quarterback. You don't want all these turnovers.
No, you really don't. And the great thing about what I'm loving seeing about Baker is he's actually in charge of this team now. Like beforehand, You had Odell, you had Jarvis with their hands in, but it seems like besides Chubb, the next man up is Baker, and he's actually just controlling what he has to control to win the game. And everybody can say that, oh, he's just a game manager and he is this. You know something? We're Browns fans. That's fine. Guess what? We're 8-3. What does it matter if he's not a complete Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or Tom Brady? Let him be him. We're 8-3. What's the big deal?
Yeah. Those guys just don't grow on trees. It's great if you get Mahomes or Rodgers on your team, but that's not the goal of an NFL team. The goal is to get a good, competent quarterback to lead your team, to not make mistakes, to give your team a chance to win, and to keep your team in the game. And if you can get a superstar like those guys that can go out there and just take a game over, great. But there's only a handful of those guys that come along every 10 years. That's just how it is.
I think what it is every Browns fan is seeing the Patrick Mahomes, the Justin Herbert, the guys that are coming out and just lighting it up right out of the gate. And we saw that a little bit with Baker. But also, you also got to factor in, we had Freddie Kitchens, obviously, who wasn't ready for anything. And then now we actually have a stable head coach. And look what the stable head coach has done for him.
Yeah.
He's the ball out of his hands and put it in everybody else's so that he can actually have time to grow.
Right, and that's the key. I think Baker can learn and make up for a lot of these little things over the next season plus the few games that are left this year, and hopefully get closer to the finished product that people like to see him be. I mean, he lacks touch on his short passes. He misses open guys sometimes, but all you got to do is go on Twitter. Quarterbacks miss open guys. Okay, it happens. These guys are not robots. You can't expect perfection out of these guys. They should hit the open man, but everybody's entitled to, everybody makes and is entitled to a mistake here and there. So you're looking at the overall consistency. And I think Baker has been a lot more consistent this year. He's kind of settling into a consistency where he's, hitting a percentage of his passes. He's not throwing the picks, and he's, throwing touchdown passes here and there. I think that's what we expect until he just kind of keeps learning more and grows, and maybe he'll hit the next level. If not, he's pretty darn good right now.
Yeah, but you still have a solid quarterback to go on. It's not like he is trash or anything. It's weird because everybody's like Mariota, because he threw too many interceptions and blah blah blah. It's just nice to actually see a stable team because he actually realizes where this team is at, and it's with Chubb and Hunt. It's not with him.
Yeah, Baker doesn't need to throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns.
And he doesn't need to throw. He doesn't need to have 50 attempts. Him at 25 attempts is all he needs.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the Browns were actually down a little bit in the rushing attempts in this game, versus last week, but it still worked. As long as you get Nick Chubb 18 to 20 carries, you're probably going to be okay. Baker had 29 attempts, which is, it's a few more than you want him to have, but he had 2 touchdown passes. So, it was against a weak secondary, so they were probably okay with giving him a few extra tries, but like you said, it's not 40 or 50.
Yeah. It's not Aaron Rodgers where he's thrown it 45 times.
Right, but, on the other hand, I think you have to give Mike Glennon and James Robinson the credit that they're due, and the offensive line of the Jags. Mike Glennon hadn't started a game in 3 years, and the guy looked pretty decent. He really did. He played a pretty darn good game. James Robinson is an extremely good back. He had just another good game for him. The Jags just aren't a pushover. The Browns could have scored a lot more points. They could have. If some of the penalty calls weren't made and if Baker hits a few more passes, the Browns could have scored probably, 35, 40 points in this game. But, they didn't need it. They got the win.
That's all that matters. We are 8-3. We are top 5 in the AFC, and we are second in the AFC North.
That's something else. Yeah, who would have thought that?
I mean, just really, we have been sucking hind tit in the AFC North for how many years? We're second.
A lot. Yeah, a lot. I don't know what the odds were in Vegas for the Browns to finish ahead of the Ravens in the standings. And I know the season's not over, but for the Browns to ever even be ahead of the Ravens in the standings,
that's hard.
I probably could have got pretty good odds on that.
I put 100 down on the Browns to make the playoffs.
Excellent.
And by the way, it was 20-1.
20-1 for the Browns to make the playoffs this year?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Because of COVID.
Wow. I would have put 100 on that.
Well, you got
Just
to.
for fun.
And
Yeah.
by the way, the great thing about my wife is if it's over 100, I got to talk to her about it. If it's under 100, I don't have to say shit.
That sounds fair. That sounds fair.
And she did the same thing to me with wine. She goes, but each bottle was $15. I'm like, honey, you bought 16 of them. Still $15. All right, honey, I love you.
Wow. So 8-3. Let's move in to the Titans game. I don't know what to think about Titans. This team and Derrick Henry honestly kind of scares the hell out of me. Because Derrick Henry, this time of year, December, it's pretty well known that this guy gets like a second wind and is just freaking unstoppable this time of year. Okay, but the Titans have they have 3 losses. They lost to the Steelers 27-24 in a game they probably could have won. They got beat by the Colts 34-17, and then I think they just beat the Colts this weekend, right? They lost to the Bengals 31-20. I didn't see that game. How in the world did they lose to the Cincinnati Bengals?
I'm going to say it right now, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow took over that game, and I will give him all kudos because he technically is the legit number 1 overall because Joe Burrow took over that game, and I think he passed for like 400 yards, I think.
Okay.
But it was the Cincinnati defense finally showed up a little bit, but guess what they did? They stopped Derrick Henry.
Yeah. So Browns have beat the Bengals twice. They beat the Colts. I'm going to talk about Pittsburgh.
Or the Ravens.
But Tennessee's got Derrick Henry, who's on a roll. I mentioned Nick Chubb. The last 3 games for Derrick Henry, 74 carries, 414 yards, 5.6 a carry. Okay, so between he and Nick Chubb, they've got 800 yards between them the last 3 games. Yeah, so they got that. Tannehill has thrown 23 touchdown passes, only 4 picks, 2,600 yards passing, and he's got just an assortment of receivers. I think A.J. Brown's missed time, and some other guys have too, but he's obviously got some guys that can catch the ball for 2,600 yards. So, their defense, their offense is, their offense can be tough. Their defense, I'm looking at the stats, and their opponents have more first downs than they do. Converting better on third downs, and fourth downs are about the same. Yardage about the same. Tennessee's losing time of possession by a little bit. And I'm like, how's this team even doing well? And they get down, and Tennessee is plus 11 in turnover ratio.
Ooh.
That's big.
Yeah,
so when you got a running back like that, and and a good quarterback, and you're plus 11. The Browns are plus 5 right now. I'm not sure really how to look at this game because Tennessee, I think, has won. They've won 3 out of their last 4, but they've also won 3 out of their last 6.
Yeah.
So,
it's weird, but the great thing is we're without Denzel Ward, but we got Myles Garrett coming back, which we haven't had in the last 2 games, right?
Right.
So I think he's going to help with stuffing Henry. But I also believe that if you put pressure on Tannehill, if they can get any sort of pressure on Tannehill, I think that's going to shake him. And I think he might throw a little more picks than what he's used to.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Browns come away with 2 picks in this game. Because I think the Myles Garrett effect might take over.
Well, I think you're right. I think Myles has to have a big game in this game for the Browns to for the Browns to stay in it, I think. Along with the fact that the Browns offense needs to keep pace, especially if Tennessee comes out and the Browns have a hard time stopping Henry early.
Yes.
It's kind of the battle of the Browns defensive line holding Henry enough early to where the Browns offense can score some points. And hopefully Miles can get in there and make some, create some turnovers and or picks, like you said.
Also, I'm sorry, but also they have to do the same thing with Chubb, because they have to stop Chubb to do anything with us. I mean, it's the Chubb Hunt show. So they got to stop those two running backs. And I honestly, looking at their defense, don't think they can.
Well, folks, Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday, they're all gone. They're all over. It's not too late to do some Christmas shopping. If you want to do it the easy way, head on over to our sponsor, Skippin' Stones, on Etsy.com. Just search for the shop, SKIPPINSTONEZ. If you want to make it easier, you can search for Skippin' Stones on either Facebook or on Twitter at Skippin' Stones. Find links there. Go and check out some great Christmas gift ideas, handmade jewelry, and other items. Get some great deals and free shipping on qualifying orders. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Yeah, I mean, they're giving up 4.3 a rush. Henry's averaging like almost 5 a rush, but they're giving up 4.3 a rush, and I don't know what the Browns are averaging, but I know Nick Chubb's averaging 6.6 over the last 3 games, and Nick Chubb is not the average running back they've faced.
And it's really funny because the way Nick Chubb runs, and we brought this up tonight, is it's not the first and second quarter where he gets you. Because, after the first half, it's always like 23, 30, 40 yards. Mm-hmm. It's the second half when everybody's wear down, and he goes to a different gear, and then he ends up with 140 yards. It's like, what? Hold on. You only had 30 yards rushing in the first half, but the second half, if we get the lead in the first half, I can almost guarantee a crap ton of carries for Chubb.
Yeah, so Fatty, tell me this. The Browns have an excellent offensive line. They've got 2 great running backs. They go up against some of these defenses that are not great. Even if these defenses are looking run and putting, 7, 8 guys in the box part of the time, why does it take an entire half for the Browns to really get that running game going?
First off, I think the last game, and I brought this up earlier today. I think the last game, because finally they were out of the wind, out of the rain, out of the crap weather in Cleveland, and they were in Jacksonville. I think they wanted to throw it just to let people know they still can throw it.
Okay.
And they started out hot throwing it, because I remember the bootlegs and everything else to Jarvis and all that. And I think Baker had, 260 yards throwing? I think it was.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I'm not a stat guy. But they kind of backed off the run. But once they got the lead, the run came back. So, it's almost like Stefanski is playing with people going, well, you think we're going to run all the time because we got Chubb and Hunt, so I'm going to do a whole bunch of rollouts, and let's see what happens. And then it starts the first half, but the second half goes, well, we're already up 10 points on you. You guys got to stop us now. We got the 2 best running backs in the NFL. They have the 2 of the top 10 running backs in the NFL with Chubb and Hunt. I think Chubb's, 4th and Hunt's 9th?
Chubb is actually 6th right now, but I think you're pretty close with Hunt.
So we have 2 top 10 running backs in our offense. What are you going to do? You're going to run the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
And once you take the lead, even if it's a field goal, if they put 8 in the box, that's completely fine because you know what that means? That gives Baker time to do the play action and hit whoever he needs to hit downfield, whether it be Bryant, Hooper, Landry, Hodge, Higgins. It's opened up so much with those 2 running backs. And I think we needed this last year, and they failed to use those running backs the way they were supposed to use last year.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with you. It's still. I'm not criticizing Stefanski whatsoever because what they've been doing has worked great, but it still surprises me that we don't see Hunt and Chubb on the field together almost ever.
I trust me. I know. I am waiting for that time, and I joke around all the time because I can't wait to see Baker in a pistol with Chubb and Hunt on his backside, and nobody knows where the ball is going at that point in time. They can't, because even if you do a play fake to Hunt, they got to actually respect Hunt for how he runs, and then you have Chubb on the other side. This is almost like the old school time of Biner, of kicking. I mean, it's unreal what they're doing with them. But it's also nice because it seems like, and this is just me seeing it, it seems like Hunt is playing a lot more in the first half than he is the second half. Because it seems like they're using Chubb and Hunt sort of the same, but the second half, Chubb takes over as the power back.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different from how they were doing it before. It used to be the first half was, into the third quarter was Nick Chubb, and then they would bring Kareem in, and he would kind of almost finish the game out.
Yeah, and I won a couple of fantasy games with Chubb, so let's just keep giving Chubb the ball.
I'm with you there. As long as he's running it the way he is. So I promised some more stats and comparisons with Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. So let's take a look at these guys. Derrick Henry's, he's leading the league, 1,257 yards, 256 attempts. Those are both high numbers for the entire league. Nick Chubb, 719 yards. He only has 115 carries. He's got less than half the carries of Derrick Henry. So let me put this in perspective. If Nick Chubb had, and I'm not taking anything away from Derrick Henry or anything else, but if you take Nick Chubb's average yards per carry, if Nick Chubb had the number of attempts that Derrick Henry has at his current yards per carry, Nick Chubb would have 1,600 yards rushing right now.
Oh, yeah.
That just tells you how sick his average is at this point in time.
Well, you also got to factor in he missed, what, 4 games? 3 games?
He missed 4 games.
4 games. So Derrick Henry's got 4 games on him. So let's say 100 yards per those games. He's right behind Derrick Henry, not like a little bit behind. He's right on his ass.
Yeah. And Nick Chubb has... Yeah, you did. Well, you said it now. I'm just kidding. It's okay. Nick Chubb has less carries on the season than Joe Mixon, than Adrian Peterson, than Darrell Henderson, Latavius Murray. I mean, it's just it's kind of fun to look at the list sorted by number of attempts. Nick Chubb, everybody probably knows, is leading the league in rushes of 20 yards or more. Even with all the missed games, he's got 10 rushes of 20 yards or more. If you figure that up, he's averaging a 20-yard run on every 11 and a half touches.
That is unreal. I mean, he's a man amongst boys.
He is. It's just fun to watch, and I think for me it's just that much more enjoyable knowing how he and Kareem, just how they get along, how they like each other, how they work together, how both of them are unselfish, how I don't think either one of them cares who gets the touchdown, who gets what carries. They're both team guys, and they're the kind of guys you want to build a football team around. They're not going to whine. They're going to just come and bust their butts and do everything they can to help the team win, and just be, just nothing about them. It's going to be all about the team.
And that's the one thing I brought up was it's nice seeing an actual team. It's not individuals. It goes along with Hunt and Chubb, but it's the entire team. Like, they ride on each other's backs. Like watching Mac Wilson lay out a tight end because he was bullying a cornerback. We don't see it that often.
I agree. I mean, the whole team's been like that this season. So tell me this: do you think that this entire team has bought in to Stefanski, to the philosophy, to everything that's happening, and that they're all pro team? Or do you feel like Stefanski and Barry and the coaches are just being extremely good about handling any issues at all internally?
I think they all bought it as a team. I really do. I think this was the best move for the Browns. Just watching Barry's moves and DePodesta and Stefanski and how they're all working, I think it's working out great.
I would agree with you, because no matter how good an organization is, I think some kind of word would get out if somebody weren't happy. But I don't know why anybody wouldn't be happy. I mean, they're 8-3. I think unless it's guys just not happy about getting touches, I don't know why else anybody would be unhappy. It's going to be good to get Miles back for this game. The defense, I don't know. I mean, what can you say about the defense? They gave up some points against the Jags. There was the officiating was horrendous in that game, absolutely horrendous. To go back and try to reconstruct that game for all the bad officiating, and figure out what the score actually should have been, is just too much work for me. But the Browns won. There were some bad calls. The Browns defense stepped up again and made the plays that they had to make when they had to make them, to keep the Browns in the game, and the Browns ended up winning. So hopefully with Miles back, the Browns are still shorthanded on defense, but that's the way it is. That's the way the league is this year. Everybody's been shorthanded. The Browns have been shorthanded on defense all season long. So hopefully they'll get guys who'll keep stepping up.
Yeah, it was weird for me to see Sendejo actually make plays, especially on the 2-point conversions, because I hate to say it because I've been a horrible Sendejo hater, but he actually helped save us the game, and it's hard for me to say that watching all the missed tackles that he's had. But I also got to think back, they lost Delpit, they lost now Ward. At the time, there's no Myles Garrett, so they lost technically 3 of their starters right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And Mac Wilson and the other linebackers are just now starting to get healthy. Mac was out with his knee, and Taki. God, I just like saying Taki.
I'd kind of like to have one of his jerseys just because it's a cool name.
We always joke around because we always go to a Japanese place and they always go, Sake! I'm like, yeah, of course I want sake. And then I start going, oh, it sounds like Taki. Sake.
Some Taki on the side.
Some sake. All right.
Yeah, I mean
But
the
no,
linebackers showed up last week. It was nice to see some good plays out of the guys last week.
and it
So
was the safeties, like the touchdown pass that glided through with Joseph all over him was unreal. Like
yeah,
Joseph had him, like I'm pretty sure that was pass interference, and then he mugged him and stole his wallet. But how that guy made the catch, I still have no idea.
yeah. I mean, what can you say? The game's changing. These NFL receivers are getting to where, I mean, they make some incredible catches. What else? What else can you say? And it's not on every pass or anything. Guys still drop balls, but yeah, some of the catches are just crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing when it hits them in the hands and then they drop it, but then they can make a one-hand catch.
Yeah, yeah. That's definitely how that goes. So I was just looking, and the Titans apparently are a 5.5 point favorite in this game, which
Ooh.
it's a home game for them, so that's really not much. It looks like it opened as a 3 point, pick 'em, almost a pick 'em game, with the Browns being on the road, but 5.5 points. I'm not sure why it's gone up.
Everybody's looking at Derrick Henry and what he did, and the Browns have a horrible rush defense. So I can honestly see how it goes. I mean, you have your running back go for 160 and 3 touchdowns in the first half. I can see how the
Yeah.
line moves a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect the Browns to be favored in this game. I really wouldn't. But they're both 8-3. It's a home game for Tennessee. They've been playing pretty well, and Browns been playing pretty well. So we'll see what happens. It's really up to the offenses.
I think it's time for payback for the Browns after the home opener last year. I hope
that would be so nice.
Well, most of the guys on the team are still here from last year, and that thing was an embarrassment. And with Mariota, not even the quarterback they got now, it was Mariota was their quarterback, and he lit them up. It was like, are you kidding me? Like, what happened?
The Browns had 11 or 13 penalties in that game. I can't remember, one or the other.
I think it was
13.
13, because it was god awful.
That sounds right. Yeah, it was horrendous. Yeah, it was not a good game. So what kind of score are you expecting in this one? Not a final score, but are you expecting a high scoring game?
You know something? I want a high scoring game. I really do, because if a high scoring game happens, that means Baker showed up for us. If a low-scoring game happens, that means we're just managing everything, and Chubb and Hunter run good. So I hope for a high-scoring game. That's just me personally. But like we said at the beginning, a win's a win. All you got to do is win, baby, win.
Right. Honestly, I would. I'm with you. I would rather. I think the Browns are going to still run the ball, somewhat, regardless of the score. I think as the score gets higher, you probably take Derrick Henry out of the game a little bit.
Well, you would think so, but
you would think you're not going to take him out of it entirely. Derrick Henry rushing for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns is kind of my nightmare about this game.
Yes, if they could stop Derrick Henry, and not like a little bit stop him, but like if they can keep him around 100 yards, I think the Browns come out with a win on this one. I really do.
Do you think it's simple enough to say that whichever back between Henry and Chubb has the bigger day, their team wins this game?
I think, well, God, that's hard. That's so hard, because if they both run the exact same, Like
Yeah, they do.
they
Yeah.
they do, but they don't. But like I watched the screen pass to Chubb, and I'm going, well, why are you passing Chubb more? Like, I
Oh, I
mean,
know. He's only got
uh,
what, 6 or 8 catches on the year.
yeah, but those 6 or 8 catches are for like 20 yards a pop.
Yeah.
Um, I think that if they try to load the box and stop them, I think at that point in time, I'm hoping that Hooper finally has the game that Hooper needs to have. Does that suffice?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Browns have still had plenty of guys who can score on offense. You
Because
know,
I know the question that you asked me between Chubb and Hunt, but if they tried to slow him down, I think the play action is going to help out, and I think that either Njoku, Bryant, or Hooper is going to benefit from it. So they can still try to stop the run, and we're still going to run. It doesn't matter if we're not going to run or not. We're still going to run. But I think if they try to load up the box, I think that's when finally our tight ends show up.
so you're saying Derrick Henry could have a bigger game. The Browns could still win this game.
I think so.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I don't think it's that simple either. I would like. I think if either guy just has a huge game, yeah, it's going to probably win it for their team. If Henry or Chubb rushes for 3 touchdowns, their team's probably going to win.
Yes,
But yeah, if it's a matter of one guy having 100 and then the other guy has 120 and they each have a touchdown, it's not going to matter.
no, and also I think that Tennessee doesn't have the, and I'll actually say it because I'm a Browns fan. I don't think they have the firepower. I don't think besides Derrick Henry, we have a couple wide receivers that are okay, but I look at our lineup and I love our tight ends, and
Mm-hmm.
I love Landry in this game. I really do because I think finally he's healthy and
Yeah, yeah.
and I think Landry in this game might blow up again for another, was it 156 yards and a couple touchdowns?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think he had 140 some, but yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to see Jarvis have a great game like that.
Because I think he needs it again because he already had it and he's shown the team now that he's healthy, and he
Mhm.
showed Baker he's healthy now, and especially with Odell out, I think it might be Juice time and let Juice
Yeah,
run.
that'd be great. I mean, and then you just get some contributions from Hodge and Higgins and the tight ends. You know, let's talk about Harrison Bryant for a minute. The guy, the kid's so talented. I mean, and then he had that dang fumble again. I was a little bit surprised that Stefanski stuck with him, but the fact that he was right back out there and getting targets, and Njoku's on the bench, I
So
think, and Njoku's pretty much done after this season, isn't he? I think the
yes,
Browns are going to part ways. So,
oh
um,
God, yes, but there's a reason why you said he had a fumble. That means he caught the ball, right?
that's true.
So this is what lies in with the Joku, and it's been his big problem. Yes, he is a freak of an athlete, and don't get me wrong, he really is. But he has a little stone hand problem sometimes. Now, granted, there's been catches that he's made that have blown my mind watching him do it, but they need it more consistent. And Harrison Bryant has got them that more consistent.
Oh yeah.
Plus, plus on the blocking side, between him and Hooper, everybody's talking about we spent this much money on Hooper, and he's not producing what we think he's supposed to be producing. If everybody watches close and watches right, he's producing all over that field because the blocking to open up the 70-yard runs for Chubb and Hunt,
Hmm.
Hooper and Bryant are right out in front along with Wyatt Teller. Who would have thought
Yeah.
Wyatt Teller would be an instrumental part of this team?
He's been incredible, just incredible. Yeah, I mean, I really like Harrison Bryant. I think the Browns just, the coaches just need to work with him. He's got great hands. He's just got to learn to secure the ball a little bit better. That the first fumble a few weeks ago, I think the ball was just stripped. I don't even blame him for that one. He just needs to know how to secure the ball better. So he's got a fumble. I liked that the Browns, that they went right back to him. I think that's great. It shows him confidence. It's positive.
The other fumble was Schobert, though. Schobert posted out from behind him. I mean, why can't we keep Schobert?
Don't get me started on that. Yeah. It wasn't even an effort to keep Joe here. So,
I know.
They he probably could have used Joe on this team.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. He really is.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have Joe Schobert here.
And especially a veteran, because, we got, B.J. Goodson?
Yeah, I got B.J. Goodson, which I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but I was looking a couple nights ago, and B.J. Goodson actually is right up there in the lead for snaps played this season.
Along with Sendejo.
Yeah, along with Sendejo. Obviously it's guys on defense.
Well, yeah, but I gotta. Do you really like Sendejo?
Well, the thing with Sendejo is, and my brother and I talk a lot about Sendejo on this podcast because my brother has stood up for him quite a few times on Twitter, because the thing with him is he wasn't going to be a starter on this team. Okay?
No, I get that, but it's supposed to be next man up. And at least, my biggest thing is, if you're going to throw your body in for a tackle, at least hit the guy.
Yeah, but he's out there because he's the best available guy. And so he's out there doing the best he can. He's not the greatest player in the world. He's not a guy who would normally be starting. He's what we have. He's a place filler this season. And, until Delpit comes back, until we're, deeper at other spots. So, so you take what you can get out of him this season. And, he's made some good plays. He's looked terrible sometimes. He's made some boneheaded plays, but I think he's out there giving his best every game.
Okay. I was just curious because, we have red wine on the shelf, and I don't see red wine often, but we spent, a 4th-round pick on red wine?
Yeah, but you know what? I think if they thought red wine was better than Sendejo, I think he'd be out there.
Okay.
I think it's a coaching decision.
Okay.
So,
obviously the coaches are comfortable with Sendejo because they know him.
Yeah. Sendejo does a lot more up around the line of scrimmage. I mean, I think he's pretty darn good up around the line of scrimmage. He's not so great in coverage, but I don't think you should be leaving Sendejo one-on-one in coverage very often. When he gets caught in the coverage one-on-one, it's bad news. That's not his game.
Unless it's a 2-point conversion.
Right.
At least I got you to laugh now. At least it's a 2-point conversion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he even knows. He's playing this season because of injuries, and because the Browns don't even have a true free safety on the roster. So he's out there playing. He's doing the best he can. So I just don't feel it's right to slam the guy all the time. And he's just out there doing his job and doing the best he can. And he makes some good plays, and every good play he makes is kind of a bonus because just think we should have Grant Delpit out there next year.
I can't wait for that. Were you excited about that pick?
You know what? At the time, I honestly really wasn't, because I thought Winfield was a better pick at the time until I did my research and I'm excited about it now.
I mean, God, I can't wait to see him. He is a superior ball hawk.
Yeah.
I
didn't at the time, I didn't realize how much his injury was hampering him, his senior season at LSU.
shoulder and his ankle.
Yeah. So, once I learned more about that and everything, I knew the Browns made a great pick. So, plus, I trust Andrew Berry. I trust what these, the players these guys bring in. So I might say, that's not what I thought. Whereas with some prior regimes, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why in the world did they pick that guy? Whereas now I'm like, I don't know why they picked him, but I'm sure there's a good reason.
Well, what I liked about it is they traded down and still got him.
You know what?
That was like a big thing for me.
Yeah, they worked that the draft like a master. Barry did. Just like very comfortable.
And the one thing I have to say is nobody else will say it. Jedrick Wills. Are you serious? Like there's not many things that he has given up, but he has played solid on that left side, and he's getting no kudos from nobody.
He's been excellent, and
this
is his. Go ahead. I mean, this is his rookie year. This is when he's learning the freaking position. He's only going to get better. He was supposed to maybe struggle this year. Even struggling a little bit this year would have been okay for him. He's had a few spots where he's jumped and stuff like that, but other than that, man, he's been excellent.
Oh, he's been absolutely excellent because even on the run, he's only given up. I think 5 sacks on the year.
Mm-hmm.
I have to look at it, but I think that's what it is. But
yeah,
he's been solid on that left side, and guess what? That's what Baker needs to feel comfortable because of what do we call him? The Texas Roadster with the pot and everything else down there on the Mexican border.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Cam Robinson.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sorry, I caught you off guard on that one.
You did. But yeah, no, I mean the Browns have had some guys out there that have struggled who we thought were going to work out, and you understand that it takes some time to learn to play left tackle there. So yeah, for him to come in and having played right tackle in college and to pick it up like he has, yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, just think how good that guy's going to be in a year or two.
Do you think he'll get to Joe Thomas status?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Joe Thomas may be the best left tackle who's ever played. I mean, Joe Thomas was a first ballot Hall of Famer who was a Pro Bowler from his rookie season. So, I don't know if anybody can get that good. Maybe he can. Maybe he can. I guess you could say that if he makes Pro Bowls, that he's, if he makes a Pro Bowl a year, you can say he was as good for a year as Joe. But that's it. I mean, Joe Thomas.
I mean, everybody tries to put him against Joe, and it's not fair because Joe, like you said, he's first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, but Joe Thomas, he might be the best. He might be the best left tackle of all time. I mean,
I agree, but I really do like Orlando Pace though.
Oh yeah, well I'm not gonna say anything negative about Orlando Pace.
I mean, the Big O was the Big O.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why I said might be. I wasn't gonna start a debate because I know there have been some guys who've been very, very good, but there's a handful of guys, and Joe's in that talk for the best of all time.
Well, I mean, for as many snaps as he's had and as many games he's played and hurt everything else, and it's unreal to see him now skinny though. Can you at least be honest with me on that one? Because I don't like Joe skinny.
Well, yeah, I mean, he looks healthy, but yeah, he looks a lot different. He does look a lot different, but he was even doing a little bit of that when he was playing. He would lose some weight in the off season and do yoga and everything, and then beef back up before the season started.
Unreal, those guys could do that. I tried to do it, and I gained 20 pounds.
Yeah. I don't know how they do it. But you're absolutely right. I mean, just think if if we had issues at left tackle this season.
I don't think Baker would have been as good as he is right now. I really honestly think last year broke him because he couldn't trust his left tackle, and now he can.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference, and that's I mean, just the entire offensive line, and it's been a big deal. It really has. So, but kudos to Andrew Berry for fixing it. Definitely. So we've been going for a while here. So let's give out some score predictions for this Titans game.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah. I'm going to let you go first.
You're going to let me go first?
Yeah, you give a score prediction, and if you feel like throwing out any stat predictions or anything for any players, you can do that too. That's not a requirement.
I am going to go Browns 31 and Titans 21.
Ooh. Nice. Any stats you want to talk about?
Well, obviously Chubb's going to get at least 150 because that's what Chubb does. But I think at that point in time, I think Baker's going to have 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions. And I think it's going to be it's not really going to have, I think Hooper and Bryant each have a touchdown.
Hooper and Bryant. That'd be nice to see. Yeah.
Are you marking this down?
I'm writing it down. It's recorded too, though.
Don't write this down.
Don't write this down. It's already recorded. It's going out to the masses.
I know, but you wrote it down for later.
Yeah. I'm writing it down so I can try to get something in my head because I haven't thought about what score I'm giving out yet. I don't want to give the same score as you, but I want to give something out that makes sense.
So can I give you a little basis? So the rest of the guys at Illegal Ham in the Face picked the Titans to win. But they picked the Titans to win close. I think it was 31-24 and I think 30-27.
Yeah. I don't pick the other team.
I never do. And that's why I'm 8-3 right now.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm 8-3 also. I think you're on to some. I think the Browns are going to score quite a few points in this game, and I think they're going to have to open it up somewhat because I think the Titans are going to score some too. I think the Browns are going to struggle a little bit against Derrick Henry, so I think I think he's going to do a little bit of rumbling, but I think Baker and Chubb are going to have their games too. So. I'm going to say I'll just go a little bit higher because I like to take the over. I'm not sure I don't know what the over-under is on this game. I didn't see that, but I'm going to say the Browns are going to win 35-28. So I'm looking a little bit more high scoring on this one.
Nice. I like it.
And yeah, I think Chubb will hit that 150 mark, and I think he might get a couple touchdowns in this one.
You're going with 2. What about Hooper and Bryant?
You know what? I think maybe I'll go back to what you were talking about with Jarvis. I think Jarvis might be the guy who gets in the end zone a couple times.
Oh God, I hope so. You're getting me all excited about next week.
God, I hope we're right.
I hope we're right too. But hey, we're Browns fans.
That's right. We're 8-3. We're having fun, and we're soaking it in.
I love it. Love it.
All right. Well, we're gonna close up shop here. Is there any parting words you would like to leave everybody with, all the Browns fans, anybody who happens to be listening?
Not really. Just soak it in. people, because we're 8-3. It's been a very, very long time since this happened. And just enjoy the ride. It doesn't matter what happens. As long as you win, baby. Just win.
All right. This has been the Browns Blitz. We will catch you next time.